Yeah.
What's up, everybody? We are live. Welcome to Friday's edition of Real Estate Unwrapped. You already know who you have here. We got Ed, Iz, and Jeej.
Yes. Hi, guys.
Buenos dias, mi people. What's going on?
Oh my goodness.
Hola. First of all, wait. Can we for a second? Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Is Christmas over?
Yeah.
Is that a poinsettia that I see behind you still?
Oh, no, because it's beautiful. Look how gorgeous that thing is.
Oh my God!
Hey,
It brings out the color.
my flowers are pretty. Okay.
You have a green thumb because that would have been dead by now for me.
It's my admin Diana. She's everything. That girl's amazing.
Oh my goodness! Oh my gosh! So people, what's going on? Tell me about your week. Listen, my week has been so far so good. I mean, I've actually had a couple of accepted offers, which I'm really happy about. Hopefully, get the contract right away. The rental game, obviously, now more big ticket rentals are actually in play as well. So I already got one tenant for the one that I had over Kew Garden Hills, Briarwood area. And working on some other folks as well. So I can tell you, honestly, I'm surprised at how many people I'm getting for nice big ticket rentals as we're speaking in today's market. And honestly, it's been a good year. And I'm looking forward to what next year's what the next couple of months is going to look like.
We're only 27 days into the new year. I love your optimism, my friend, because that's what it's about.
Absolutely.
No, it's been a good week. I also had an accepted offer. What else do I have? I gotta think of packing because I'm leaving on Thursday. I'm going to Puerto Rico.
The shining star.
And I don't know. We're gonna have to discuss if I'm gonna do live from my Airbnb. It's actually a beautiful villa with a pool and all that. So yeah, maybe we should do that.
Most people have done it. Why not?
Yeah.
Make us jealous.
Yeah, I know. Because I'm
gonna be in Florida 2 weeks from Wednesday of this last Wednesday. So, and I'll be there for 2 weeks, but I'll probably be able to go live. It shouldn't be a problem. Maybe I'll bring my nephew on.
There you go. There you go.
My nephew on the live.
Yeah. All right. All right. Today we have a guest.
Very interesting topic. I'm
today's
excited
topic.
about it because of the fact that in real estate, I know we're all busy moving and shaking, but at the end of the day, there's a few things that we tend to miss. And I honestly believe that in the real estate industry, we should be looking to invest, build our real estate portfolio. So I'm excited to bring to the stage Mr. Justin Blond from FM Homes. Did I say it right?
How's it, guys?
FM Home Loans.
FM Home Loans.
FM Home Loans.
All good. Justin
Hello,
is my
Justin.
name. What's up?
How are we
Israel?
doing? How's everybody?
Good to see you guys.
Good to see you, brother. So thank you for jumping on, man. And I'm, like I said, brother, I'm super excited about this. And the reason why, as I've said this before, man, is because of the fact that I got into real estate for one specific reason. Not because I want to help people buy real estate. No, I'm kidding. It was literally the fact of I wanted to invest. I wanted to take my money, invest into real estate. But, we're from New York, so it's hard to trust people. So I figured I'm going to get into the real estate industry, figure out my ins and outs, learn where I can invest my money, and move forward to build my real estate portfolio. So I'm glad you're on here, brother, and thank you for jumping in.
100%. I mean, it makes sense. I think that sentiment echoes what every single realtor, feels when they're starting. You know what I mean? So really, thank you guys for having me. I'm happy to talk. I'm happy to chat and, shed some light on this subject. I think it could help a lot of us, myself included. I think what we had spoken about was house hacking.
Yes. It's a sexy title. That's how we're going to catch up the viewers. It's a sexy title, but it's going to be a big part of our discussion. We'll dive right into house hacking, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
It's definitely a provocative term. You know what I mean? And it's all over, social media. And, listen, what I wanted to point out was it's not so simple as a 60-second TikTok make it seem, you know what I mean? But the truth of the matter is we can take steps towards becoming investors.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and being in the real estate, you know, game and being a mortgage professional, a real estate broker or agent, you know, sometimes you're privy to deals. You know, I want to set up my friends, clients, colleagues, whoever is in my universe to become an investor. You know, I think it's the path to financial freedom. I really, really do. I think owning a home is the greatest thing. You know, rent goes up. We all see what's going on with rent. So
Wow.
to me, this is the right way.
Yeah, no, I love it, man. And quite frankly, look, man, I know we're gonna jump right into it, but ideally, right, as someone who just started, maybe someone doesn't own anything, they have capital, they have the income requirements needed to take out a loan. What would be your recommendation as the first step to start building their real estate portfolio?
It's a great question, Ed. So to me, no matter what, the first step is always owning your own home. And you know, the best way to house hack, there's that term. I feel like we have a light should go on. The best way to house hack is buy a multifamily, live in one unit, rent out the other units, get help paying the mortgage, build equity, and you know, let that be the stepping stone to becoming a landlord, to becoming, you know, an investor in real estate. That's always going to be my first tip, no matter what. You have such great options to purchase a multifam that you don't need a ton of money. You know, I just had a conversation with a buddy of mine who's a financial advisor, and you know, you'd think that somebody who is financially savvy would know different options, but it's not his field. And he said, "Wouldn't I need 20% down for that?" I said, "You could do as little as 3.5% down."
Wow.
And to me, again, that's the best way of starting out in house hacking, becoming an investor, and getting in the game.
Oh, I love it, man. And not for nothing. And again, we want to reiterate. I know you see the banner at the bottom, folks. If you're tuning in, feel free to ask questions. We have Justin here. He's someone who's heavily involved in the investment game and the mortgage game. So please do not be shy. Ask your questions. That way we can also basically ask your questions to Justin.
Yep. I'm happy.
But
You could put me on the spot anytime.
Beautiful, man. So what I wanted to ask you was, look, at the end of the day, in New York City, right? Clearly things are pretty expensive, right? It's not easy to go out there and pull money together and make a purchase. So let's just say someone started in the co-op game, right? Like I'm going to use myself as an example. I purchased a co-op, and when I was looking for a co-op, I was ideally looking for a place that I can live in because I know they have sublet policies, and the place that I purchased allowed me to live here for a year and a half, and then I can rent it out without any restrictions.
Perfect.
So with that being said, let's just say somebody purchased a co-op and now they're 2-3 years into it. Clearly they've been paying down the equity. Clearly the property value has gone up. Is there a way for even somebody like myself to say, you know what? I have equity in the property. Can I pull some equity out of my co-op and maybe purchase an investment property in another state? Is that possible?
100%. So that's great. It's a great observation, and it really applies not only to yourself with a co-op. It can be anybody, a condo, a single family, a multifamily.
Yeah.
You know, the way that I would go about this is, you know, a refinance. If you're able, like you said, you're paying down the principal for the past couple of years, your equity or value has now gone up, and there's that difference. You could take out that difference, and whether it's a mortgage or a line of credit, a home equity line of credit, you can then take out some of that money and use it to purchase something else, wherever, whether it's in the state, out of the state. Do whatever you want. Invest with a partner in a different program, in a different state. That is a great way of taking out capital. You know, what you're doing is, and also it's debt is almost like tax-free income, because you're not paying taxes on that debt. right? And that's a key to investing. When people understand that and they really wrap their head around that, that's how you do it multiple times. You take out mortgage, and the mortgage is debt, which is tax free, and you let that value grow, and you take it out, and then you do it again, and now you're buying something again with that debt. And so it's a beautiful way of really growing wealth and sort of getting, going closer to that financial freedom of really having that passive income from many different streams. And it could be replicated with anything.
Yeah. So now you mentioned pulling out a home equity line of credit or pulling out the funds. I'm going to assume that you then have to also qualify for that capital. Is that correct? So the same rules still apply. Like you would still have to have good credit. Your debt to income ratio would still have to be within reason.
Yes.
Is there a max amount that you can take out? Like, let's just say, hypothetically speaking, you bought a property, $100,000. In today's market, it's worth $200,000. There's almost $100,000 in equity. Like, what would you say would be, I guess, the ramifications for that?
So typically, most lenders are not going to go above 80%, right? Which would be 160. Okay. That's going to be, typically your max. Sometimes you'll have an aggressive lender that will do, a line of credit to 85. So you get that little bit of extra. But as a general rule of thumb, you want to be really between, I would say 70, 75 loan to value and a max of 80%.
Wow.
That's the way of looking at it. And
yeah, that makes sense.
Right. Yeah. And I wanted to also take a step back with when you're purchasing, a home for yourself, and if it's a multifamily, you could live in that for a year, let's say, like what you said, like your co-op board allows you to sublet after that 1.5 year period. You could use a 3.5% down FHA loan, purchase a 2, 3, 4 unit, and live in there for a year, and then move on. You could then replicate that what you've done in terms of house hacking. I hate to use that term again.
Yeah.
But you are now an owner of a multifam property. It's very, very hard to beat that as a way to get in the game. And my message to realtors is that really should always be your first step. Get your finances in order. Work with a mortgage professional, work with an accountant to get your taxes in order, at least for 1 year that you're going to purchase. And from there, that should be the game plan. From there, it's really a stepping stone. Look, sometimes you guys will come across deals and let's say, you don't have time to apply for financing. You need that cash right away. No problem. I get that. And maybe you could even flip it a few months later. You guys are privy to that. You know what I mean? And sometimes I'm sure, has that ever come across your desk, you guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So rather than giving it to one of your investors, you could take hard money, and for those who don't know what hard money is, that's essentially a short-term loan at a higher interest rate, but they could close in as little as like a week, 10 days. As long as there's clear title, come up with, let's say, 25% down, and you now can take this property and, if it needs a little bit of work, and then put it back out on the market with you guys.
Isn't hard money?
So use BRR.
Isn't hard money? I mean, let's face it, because I've never borrowed hard money. Isn't hard money only available to more seasoned investors?
No.
Because this is where like I've heard many times. You need to have done already a few investment properties and so on and so forth.
I had reached out to like a hard money loan lender. I'm not gonna take more of your time, Justin, but what he had said to me was that the way he was working is if you're somebody without experience, they charge a specific interest rate. If you're somebody who's a realtor, they start to associate like a point system to you. So if you're a realtor, it's like, all right, you got a point. If your partner is also a realtor, he has a point. these points are combined, and then your interest rate is a little lower. If you have somebody that is more seasoned, they typically get more points. But in the beginning, I think anything is possible. It's just that you'll be dealing with the high interest rate.
Right.
Correct.
So 100%. So you guys are right. Obviously, when you're closing with, cash like that, those type of numbers, what hard money essentially is like cash, because you're closing very quickly. Sometimes they're not even doing an appraisal. We work with hard money lenders that run the gamut. There are ones that will give very high leverage, but they're only working with seasoned investors. If they have a bunch of properties that they currently own and manage, or if they've done a number of flips in the past 18 to 24 months, like that. Then I have, that will work with newer investors. They might request a little bit more down, but it's still an option, and they're still willing to lend. What I suggest always is align yourself with somebody who has done this before. Give them a small piece of the action. In the long run, it may work out better for you to do that, because you'll have more options with the financing. And yes, it's costly, but that's the cost of doing business. And at the end of the day, if you're able to flip a property and make sometimes even a couple $100,000, yes, I paid 12% or 13%. People can't wrap their heads around that. But then at the end of the day, if it's done properly, you walk away with $200,000. That's it's a lot of money. And
yeah. And then there's definitely those ways like the Burr process, where you can actually, and for those that don't know, the Burr process is pretty much buy, rehab, rent, refi, and then you just repeat the process again.
Correct.
You pretty much buy the unit right away. You do what you need to do within 6 months or so. And if I'm right about this part, right, 6 to 7 months, and you just refi right away. Then you just do that process one more time.
And use the proceeds from your refi to another. Yeah.
But it's all based on calculations. It's all based on numbers. You have to have the right numbers, because at the end of the day, if you're thinking that you're going to get a good refi chunk or a good, number or equity out of that, if your numbers are not correct, you may not end up with anything. So you might have to wait a little bit. So got to be careful with those numbers.
A lot of people who are using that method, and that's sort of what I was saying to Ed before about, purchasing a property, even if you live in it, it's different than the Burr method, but you live in the property, live in it a year, gain a little value, take it, do it again, even if it's a private. It's a very similar concept of replicating a type of purchase that helps you build your portfolio, your real estate portfolio.
And what I like to piggyback on, I'm sorry, Gigi, but what I love about your previous idea, which is something where you could do a 3-2-1 version of that, right? So if somebody decides that they want to buy at a 3.5% or maybe 5% a 3-family, live in there for 2 years, move on to the second family, live there for 2 years. Now their single family is paid out by their 2-family, 3-family.
Correct.
So that's actually a genius idea that you're seeing there. So if a person really has that kind of money, or they need to sort of borrow from somebody to buy that 3-family, that is an amazing idea to go by within 5 years. Am I right about that? Or
100%, 100%. And look, I know, myself, it does take time. We all now in this world, we all want this instant gratification. Social media and everything pushes that now, the instant gratification. I was talking to this big real estate guy, a mogul. And what he had said, he said, real estate, it's the easiest profession in the world. It's great. I have property managers now set up. I have good plumbers here, there. This guy owns, I can't even tell you how many thousands of units. And I'm thinking to myself, easiest in the world, what is this guy smoking? And he said, listen, Justin, let me explain to you. 15, 18 years, you're killing yourself. 15 years is you're barely surviving. You're trying to hang on, and it's taking every last penny from you. And then after that, it clicks, and that's it. Then you're on easy street. So I want people to understand, think in the grand scheme of things,
Long term.
the long term of buying a property, even as a primary, it's your first step into investing. That's really, to me, the right way of going about it. Because, like Israel said, you can get burned very easily. And a lot of guys that invested in the past 2 years where, they thought there was way more upside, and then all of a sudden rates doubled, now it takes a lot of the juice out. And now they're having to sit with it, trying to, figure out what their next step is. Are they going to have to sell because they can't refinance? Is the rent covering their current expenses? All of that stuff. And it's really something to look into. So you really want to align yourself with professionals who understand what they're doing, who know what they're doing, and really can guide you to the best of their ability.
So that's my question. So I'm reading a whole bunch of stuff that's saying that this coming year house flipping is going to be a very, very tough game.
I agree.
So, all right. So you think house hacking then is probably the best way to get into it. Get a multifamily house as a first-time home buyer with a low down payment. All right. Have the other units. You live in one unit.
Very important.
And then have the other two units, if it's a 3, if you're lucky enough, and that pay for your mortgage, obviously, and a little bit left over, if anything. And if not, then ride it for a couple of years until things are good. You gain some equity. Hopefully, rates are going to be restabilizing. It looks like we've had the rates went down 3 times this month already, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, we can't complain.
Correct.
I think they're not. It's not bad. Like everybody's saying, "Oh yeah, rates." No, it's okay now. It's okay. We're good. Let's get back into it. Yeah.
So real quick, two things. Number one is I know Elsie actually had a question. So she was curious to know who are considered first-time home owners.
Okay.
You know why she's saying that? Because she's already owning something.
But that's good because I remember hearing. I remember hearing there's multiple ways to be a first-time homeowner. But go ahead, Justin.
100%. So just to make things clear, you don't actually have to be, a first-time buyer. You can own a home and still qualify, let's say, for a 3.5% down payment on a multifamily. It doesn't necessarily count you out. So you could still be a first-time home buyer with even owning a home.
Got it. Now, let me ask you a question on this because I'm actually dealing with a buyer in this sense where he owns, well, all right, it's him and his wife, but his wife owns a multifamily, and now they're looking to purchase a single family. They've owned that multifamily for over 10 years, and they want to take advantage of the first-time home buyers loan. However, because they purchased that first property with the FHA loan, I don't think they've ever refinanced into a different loan. So they still have a first-time homeowners program.
Got it.
Can they still qualify for an FHA loan if they wanted to purchase another property today?
Right. So the answer is not really. FHA they're going to give you all of the benefits of purchasing with a low down payment. You don't have to have great credit. You can purchase multifamily, but they want it to be a primary. So if they're still going to keep that home in with an FHA loan, then the way to do it, and I don't know if they're looking to purchase multifamily or a single family, but they could still do, a single family with 5% down, a conventional loan. That would be the way. If they're looking to purchase a multifamily, it really depends on the area. It depends on if their family grew. There are certain scenarios that will allow you to use another FHA loan. If they need more space and their family grew, if they're moving over 95 miles away from there, those are a couple of the situations that allow for a second FHA purchase.
Is it after a certain time frame, or it doesn't really meter?
Meaning after 12 months. There's no real.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if I bought something in New York and I decided to buy something in Virginia,
Yes.
I mean
no
that's
problem.
more than 95. Then that's fine. Okay.
No problem. Yes.
Very nice.
Wow.
100%.
Okay.
You know what I wanted to get back to with what Gigi was saying, because I think it's a very important statement. You know, that I think it's going to be a lot harder to flip now.
Right.
I just don't think that there is going to be enough juice on, enough meat on the bones, so to speak, with these deals. I think it will be a lot harder, but I think now is really a good time for people to sort of stack their cash, get ready. I think there will be deals to be had, but it might be a little bit of a different view. You may not be able to flip it right away, but if you're able to get into a property at the right price now, so what if rates are a little higher? If you're able to qualify, if, the other unit is helping you pay that mortgage, then why not? Because as rates come down, you're going to have a whole bunch of people, home buyers, investors, everybody come back into the game. Now you really don't have that influx of investors. The past 2 years, you had investors coming in with cash. You couldn't even get your offer, even close to being accepted because all these guys were coming in and offering cash. And now that's not the case. So my message to realtors, home buyers, now's the time. Get in there now, find what you're looking for. I think there was a statistic, 40% of all deals in the past couple quarters had concessions.
I saw that. Keep it current matters.
Yeah, sellers are helping pay closing costs.
Yeah.
They're helping you put money towards paying down a rate. Now is the time to buy and invest. Now is the time. That's the way that I see it. So
you're not necessarily gonna get a deal as far as price of the house,
right?
Because market stabilized. I'm not saying you have huge price depreciation, because this is all a myth. You have readjustment. It's a couple of percent down. It's
but I want to ask you guys. I want to ask you guys a question. I got to ask you, Ed, Gigi, Israel, in our areas, in the boroughs, in 5 years, do we think prices will be lower than where they are now?
No.
No chance.
Hell no.
No chance.
No.
It's just people want to be here.
Right.
With the prices of eggs going through the roof, I'm almost
but it's a different story.
I'm almost certain that the housing market will also go through the roof.
Look, I just, was a correction coming? Yes, there was way too much.
But it's not a big correction,
right?
Because you still have so much demand.
Correct.
There are many factors. So people want, again, we were talking about needs and wants of the buyers. You have a different outlook on living situation nowadays. A lot of people work from home, so they can afford being a little bit outside of the city,
Right.
And then you have shortage in new build homes. If you wanted out to move to Suffolk County and get a brand new house, it's really tough to get by right now.
Yes.
And builders are trying to catch up, and a lot of things are making it difficult. So because of still that strong demand, nothing is gonna go down. It's just based, to me, on the demand. That's all.
I agree.
Right.
There's way too many people being made faster than houses being built. Okay, you could get a house built in a year. You can make a baby in 9 months. Okay, so that alone, that ratio is ridiculous. And sometimes you get lucky and you have twins. So it's,
oh my God! So people stop populating that much.
Right? No, you're right. Listen, again, I just that is my gut feeling. The areas that we're in, especially Queens, Brooklyn, the Bronx, and then even Long Island, people want to be out there. You have good schools, you have, a little more land, you have the yard in the front, the backyard, the deck, people want to be there. And I just, okay, maybe it will come down at 2-3%.
Yeah, but that's about it. It's just a readjustment.
It's been going up.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Artificially. It's been going
That's
up
correct.
so artificially, just because the rush of post-lockdown, we knew this was not going to last. So yeah, of course, going to readjust, but it's not a crash; it's a readjustment. You're not gonna see prices as back in 2018. That's also a myth. I think it's just gonna go. It went up really, really steep, and it's gonna go back down a little bit, but not tremendously, and not so that homeowners lose so much value. They're still gonna gain equity. If you're looking on the 5-year range, I think you're still gonna be able to gain a good, like on the $500,000. I think you can easily say you'll gain at least an $80,000 to $90,000 equity in the next 5.
I love it.
No question. No question. I mean, and I think it's going to be much quicker than that, to be perfectly honest.
I'm just being very conservative, not to scare anyone, but just still show that it's still like a great appreciation and like wealth builder. Don't expect to cash out like in 1 year and say, I'm going to double my money. But yeah, over the long term, you know.
Only if you bought in 2019. If you bought in 2019, then yeah, maybe a year later, it'd be like, holy cow,
yeah, I know,
look at the equity. You know, I saw a funny meme the other day where it was the scene from Rush Hour. I don't know if you guys remember the movie Rush Hour. It was the first one.
With Chris Rock, right?
Yeah, with Chris Rock and Jackie Chan. And then the young girl, the broke agent actually did this, I think. But there's a young girl in the back seat singing Mariah Carey's song, and she just left school. She was with her 2 security guards. So she's leaving, and she's there singing this Mariah Carey song, singing her heart out. And it says, the caption says that she's representing the people who bought in 2019. And then the driver and the passenger in the front, which is security, they had like a straight face. You know, they were irritated because she was singing. And they said, these are the people that were buying in the past like couple of months. You know what I mean? Oh man, we lost Justin just when I was telling him, man. Damn.
It's okay.
We lost signal. It's all good.
Oh, all right. I hope you can get back in. So yeah, I mean, I was hoping we can hear from a lot of you guys out there in real estate. Have you been able to invest? Are you looking to get into the house hacking game? So we want to hear your questions to Justin. We want to hear your comments to us, and see if you can bring a little bit more, basically content to this stream today.
Yeah, no, for real. Ask your questions, guys, because the window is open. We're not going to be here all day, but for sure, if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
The live is going to stay here forever. It's being recorded, and you can add comments.
So here's a couple questions I tend to ask myself, in the sense that if I'm a person who's just starting, or let's just say I want to get in there with a couple of buddies, how do I get into an investment world? What programs are out there for me if I want to start buying a multifamily or single family?
Good question.
That's a great question. First of all, you guys can see me, right? I think I have
yes.
Okay, awesome. Perfect. So Israel, it's a great question. So I would want to talk about sort of the second step of investing. And, let's say you do own your own home. You have purchased, could be a multifamily, a single family, and, now you're saving towards that next purchase, whether it be refinancing, taking out some of that equity to purchase something else. There are programs that allow you to purchase an investment property. You could close in an LLC. We don't need to look at your tax returns, and that is called a DSCR loan. And that is debt.
Oh!
Damn! This is like an episode of Netflix, bro.
Oh! What?
Now
we can hear you now. Yes.
I'm sorry.
You just literally got cut off. Exactly.
That was
That's
too hot.
exactly what we were talking about.
It
was like an episode of Netflix, brother. It was an episode of Netflix. We're like, oh man, it's getting to it. And it's credits.
It's a cliffhanger.
Next.
All right. So the DSCR.
Yes.
What does that mean?
DSCR loans. All right.
What is a DSCR loan? So it stands for Debt Service Coverage Ratio. And essentially what this allows is, if you have a mortgage history, or if you own other property and you have a lease for 12 months, we can then lend you on this purchase or refinance based on rental income. If your mortgage, tax, and insurance is $3,500, your loan payment can go up to $3,500. and it's a beautiful program for real estate investors. A lot of the real estate investors that I work with, because they're in real estate and because real estate is such a beautiful way of offsetting taxes and, writing off all the depreciation, writing off mortgage interest, what a lot of real estate professionals do is not show a lot of income. And because of that, we came up with a program that helps these investors. So even though they're not showing quote unquote usable income on their tax returns, we could still get them a loan and keep them investing and keep them purchasing or refinancing real estate. So, like to what Israel was saying is, align yourself, like you're saying with your buddies. Maybe if one of your friends does have an investment property, make a partnership, see if you can come up with a plan to purchase that next one. And doesn't even have to be in, using someone's tax returns. You can use this program. You could close in an LLC, just form that entity. And, that's a great way of getting in the game. Now, obviously, there's a caveat. You can't do it with 3.5% down. This program, you do need more capital. But, typically that entryway is 20 to 25% down.
Right.
So obviously in our areas, it's going to be a little bit more. If you're looking at $1 million price point, you need 200 to 250 plus closing costs. If, you're looking in Florida, I just give the example of Florida because I know, Ed is a big advocate for Florida, spent some time there, closed a bunch of deals for investors over there. The entryway is a lot less. You can find a beautiful property that you may Airbnb for, under 300, 350 or 400, whatever it is, 250.
3-bed, 2-bath. Anywhere
Exactly.
between 1,300 to almost 2,000 square feet. Crazy.
Right. Exactly. That's a perfect example. So it's a beautiful program that will allow you to get in the game without showing tax returns.
Nice.
Okay. Can you buy under a corporation?
Yes. So
Yes,
these loans can be closed in an LLC. An FHA loan and most conventional mortgages, they're not going to allow you to close in an LLC. What I do see a lot, which is not necessarily the legal way of doing it, but after closing, some people will tend to transfer the title from their personal name into an LLC. Most attorneys, will tell you that can't be done by the letter of the law, but it does happen every day. And, assuming no mortgage payments are missed, typically you don't have any problem with that.
Okay.
And what's the other financial ways that is it like hard money or what else is out there that somebody can
leverage? So the other way of, I would say, financing an investment purchase, definitely hard money is a great way to do it. And it has a bad connotation. People think that hard money is like a loan shark and, they're looking to take the property. The truth of the matter is it's a way of closing on a property very quickly, and it's a short-term loan. They don't want to, a hard money lender does not really want to go through the process of taking a property, especially not in New York. It can take a very long time. It's just not worth it. They want their 6, 12, 18, 24 months of interest and move on. That's it.
Yeah.
And, if you're buying something at auction or you need to close cash in, 7 to 14 days, that is a great way to get things done. So I just want to be clear. It's definitely, more costly. The interest rates are in the double digits.
Yep.
Yeah. But it allows you, you don't really need income. They're just looking at the property and they're looking at the plan. And sometimes they'll even give you money to rehab it. So, you're talking about purchase money, rehab money, and then if the plan is to rent it out and refinance, like you mentioned earlier, great. That's your exit strategy, or sell it. So it's a great way of getting in. The other, option for in getting into the investing game,
Yeah.
like you said, is calling up your friends, your buddies, your pals, pooling some money together.
Right.
In the past 2 years, I've seen many, many deals come across my desk where they are, a bunch of people will come up with, let's say, 5% or 10% of the money, and then they'll try and raise the
But
rest.
you don't want to have too many co-borrowers. So that's why I was asking LLC. Like,
Right.
if you're going to pool together, you want one entity. You don't want to have more than 3 borrowers. It gets
Right.
really, really messy then.
It does.
Right?
I agree with you, Gigi. So the way that is structured typically is there will be one entity that's formed and that's going to be the borrowing entity. And then another entity will be formed that all of the investors will be part of. And that entity with all of the investors will then invest in the one entity that's borrowing.
Okay.
So pretty much
I'm not an attorney, but
it can be structured this way. Okay.
That's the general structure of
so
those.
So it's like a joint venture, in other words.
Yeah.
So everybody joins that one umbrella of joint venture, and then everybody's LLC would just be part of that joint venture.
Yeah. That's correct.
I think there's one type of way also to borrow money we haven't covered: the rehab loans, what is known as 203K, as a first time. I mean, as a house hacker,
yes,
like with a low down payment, living in the house and using. Okay, you want to talk about that?
Yes. So, and it's a great way of, again, getting into the game.
Right.
I always, obviously I speak to realtors all day, every day. And, a lot of the times it's to me, it's location, and buying the ugliest house in the best location. And a 203K really can help you to do that. And what a 203K essentially does is that it will give you money for the purchase and 100% of the money to rehab that property, and it will use the appraised as is value. So they would just want to make sure that it will be worth what you say it's going to be worth after you do the work. And again, that could be used on a multifamily. It's a great way to get into a home. You're talking about putting down very little money to make a property. Let's say you're buying it for 500, you're putting in 200. It's probably not going to be worth 700. It's probably going to be worth 800, or 850. So you're walking into equity by building it, you're making the home the way that you want it. It's new. It just becomes so much more desirable. And then if you decide, to sell it in a year or two, maybe rates came down a little bit, definitely value is going to be up on a new home, So to me, it's a no-brainer. It's a little bit more paperwork. You have to get the HUD approved inspector on board with the appraiser, but that's something that we take care of. But other than that, it's a regular loan. It's a regular FHA type of a mortgage, and you could do a conventional as well with 5% down. It's a great way of getting in the game.
So there's actually, I'm sure there's 2 more ways. One is obviously the private money, asking that one rich uncle to lend you money. I'm sure there's that way too.
Who got a rich uncle?
I wish I had that.
Right? I wish I did too.
Hey, you know what? But it's time to be the first rich uncle. That's how we're going to make it happen.
There you go. So with that being said, one more thing is, honestly, we're going to have a lot of folks out there who are thinking, I don't have money. I'm in real estate, I don't have money. How do I buy my first home without having any money, without having to put in a down payment? What's around on that?
So again, I'm going to go back to, purchasing a home as a primary. Now, you have to be able to afford it. You have to be able to have some liquidity, and everybody knows, once you buy something, the expenses don't stop with a mortgage. There's always the call, that fateful call on a rainy night. My sewer is, overflowing and the basement is flooding.
Right.
Shit happens. Excuse my French, but you got to be prepared for that. And so that's why I say you know, even realtors, you got to put yourself in a position to be able to take that next step. You know, set yourself up with that cushion. You know, to purchasing a home. You know, to buy a primary. That would be, again, the first step. If it's not going to be that, and you want to purchase the investment property first, you know, come up with you know, that, you know, I would say 10%, you know, as a general number, you know, have it 10% down. You know, maybe you're purchasing a second home in a warmer climate, you know, that you can also rent out part of the time. You know, that would be a tip towards sort of getting in the investment game. But you got to have, you know, some money. It can't be, I have no money and I just want to buy an investment property. It just doesn't work like that. You know, you got to be realistic about what you can purchase if you don't have that rich uncle. Right. So I would say that, you know, you need to come up, set aside that fund, you know, and maybe it will take 6-12 months, you know what I mean? But set yourself up, live on a budget, you know your expenses, and see if you can get that, you know, 5-10% down of a goal towards what you're purchasing. The next step after you have that, or while you're getting that money saved, get your finances in order. You know, you need to understand how you're qualifying. You know, are you going to use private money or hard money? Are you going to use, you know, a debt service loan? You know, if it's your first loan, are you partnering with an investor who has had this experience? Yeah. If you're going to try and go full doc and qualify with your income, you need to make sure that your tax returns are in order. If not, the beginning of the year is a great time to have that conversation with your mortgage professional. You can then set yourself up and do 22 taxes now based off of what you did. So that's, I would say, you know, my message to realtors in January of 23 trying to purchase this year.
I'm gonna put some questions. We get some questions from our audience. We have Rosa, who was going back to the rehab loans. Will interest rate be the same for rehab loans? And then we have another question.
Sure. So that's a quick one. For the most part, they're typically an eighth to a quarter higher. And that's the beauty of an FHA, you know, 203K rehab loan. They don't penalize you for that, you know, and you don't need great credit. You don't need that 780. You know, even a 680 score, you're going to have a very similar rate to somebody with above 700. So the answer is they're going to be very close, you know, an eighth to a quarter difference typically.
All right. Then we have a question probably for real estate people here, not necessarily a mortgage professional. Where do you get these properties that need work from? Can you get from HUD and elsewhere? All right. That's what she's asking. What do we recommend as agents? For me, I would probably scour the MLS and look at the ugly house. You know, that's what you said. The ugly house in a great neighborhood where you see a potential, if the price is right, if the bones are good. I'm sure you can do a lot of things with that. What do you think, guys?
I agree. I agree 1,000%. So, you know, look at the area that you want to invest in. Even if it's not on MLS, just do a quick walk around. Right. If you have the ability to look at, you know, like other avenues as far as Redfin or Zillows or anything else like that,
for
just
sale by
do
owner,
right for sale by owners, whatever you have, just do your little walk arounds. And I'm going to tell you right now that usually the houses that have the overgrown lawn are the best ones to go with. Those are the ones that most folks are not looking at. The ones that actually has a tree falling somewhere or the roof that hasn't been touched in over 90 years.
Well, you have a tree growing on the roof. That's the one.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Just take the address. I'm sure you'll be able to find it on Zillow somewhere and see if you can actually work that out. I mean, those are the best ways. And even ask your, you know, friends or family members, hey, what's the ugliest house you've ever seen around your way? And then go from there.
Yeah.
That will work too.
Well, I have a question. All right. Because, and this is going to be, I'm going to say the older folks, because
I'm
I've
What?
young,
run
so
into this.
I'm young.
Excuse me.
I've run into this. I've run into
Excuse me.
this
Older
often.
folk. What is that?
Older folks. I'm gonna go with. I guess they're considered Gen. What is it? Gen.
Oh, come on, the
Gen.
Gen Xers.
The Gen
The,
Xers,
the
right?
baby
The
boomers.
Gen Xers and the
Oh,
baby boomers. And this is a question for them because quite frankly, I see this across the board, right? Look, my parents, for example, they are in the mindset that I just want to clear any and all debt so that I don't have to pay for anything. And ideally, when I have these conversations with them about real estate, about investing, about getting another property, the answer is always, that's for you young folks. It's too much for me to handle at this current time. And I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking about my way out. Okay. So
wait.
my question, well, here's my question. And Gigi, you might be different because you've been in real estate for
No, no, no,
250
no, because
years.
you know
But
where I'm at. You know where I'm at in my head.
no,
Oh
I
God,
know.
I'm like,
I know.
I'm like, okay, guys,
But
we
he,
know I'm old. We all know that.
you're a
Just,
vampire. You're a
oh my
vampire.
god.
No, listen. So this is my question. How would you have the conversation with them to now show them these different avenues of generating generational wealth at this point? Because quite frankly, as much as we want to get rid of our bills, right? You could pay off your mortgage, but you still got to pay the taxes. You can't pay the taxes off. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, retirement is not going to cut it. Social Security is not going to cut it.
Right.
Things are getting more expensive. The eggs are going to be $20 soon. I mean, what do we tell these individuals that are sitting on a gold mine to help them diversify their portfolio so that they don't have to worry about Social Security making the ends meet or getting a second job after
Yeah.
retirement just so that
Yeah.
they can pay their
Yeah.
bills?
I don't want to. I don't want us to spend too long, but me as an old person, because I qualify for my NA. What is it? AARP card.
NARP.
AARP, not this one, the other one. Anyway, I think if you show numbers, first of all, how much equity they can pull out of the current property, what directions they could have the investments, how much rental they can get, risk factor, return on their money, expenses, ways out. It's all about numbers. If you're just gonna present that, and when I'm saying that, I'm thinking of how my father was, he was a not even a baby boomer. He was born in 1937. So imagine that. So he was
So that's an
pre
adult
Second
boomer.
World War, and
I be
it was
I
really,
be
really tough she was a tough cookie to crack, right?
Excellent.
So I
Yeah.
needed to have those spreadsheets ready and do a little bit of research. And that would be my advice. Make sure you just show like you would formulate a business plan and just go at it with figures and numbers and what makes sense without removing all the emotions. And I think that probably would be the best.
Yeah,
there's a
hold on.
little sound in the
No audio.
background. I can't hear it.
Who is it? Is it me? I'm trying to mute all of them. Maybe it's Justin. Are you frozen, brother?
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that is,
Sure.
but
We have spies.
It might be one
but
of
that's
us.
what with the few minutes that we have left, Justin, if you can just answer that question as a host, that's just
I guess. Yeah.
let's hear what you would have to say on that, and then again we only have a few minutes left, so
I think
Hello?
Justin froze.
He froze.
He left us on another cliffhanger. But you know what?
And that was
Like the
best
suspense
part.
is there. You see it in his face.
Yeah, I love it. But you know what? That's a good answer that you gave, Gigi, in that sense that, honestly,
think
but the
if
thing
you-
is that when people have, the problem is with some folks, is that it's hard to change. You can't change old dogs, new tricks kind of thing. But even showing with numbers and everything, I think that at the end of the day,
emotion. Yeah, remove
Right.
the emotions is already a high emotion subject. Remove the emotion, just go through the numbers, the figures, and
Right.
show the possibility. And that's bye, Justin.
Yeah.
And show the
okay.
possibilities.
Appreciate
And
having you on.
yeah, I mean,
Well-
I would do that. If you think this is something your parents can help contribute to, and the risk factor is minimal.
Yeah, I agree. Well, let's just, with a few minutes again we have left, again, folks, follow us on Facebook, Real Estate Unwrapped. Thank you, Rosa. Thank you so much for that information.
Yes.
Thank you. And Justin, if you're able to come back on, we'll stay on for a few more seconds. Just come on in. So we can say we would love to know. Go ahead.
We have to know who our most valuable player of the day is.
He's in.
He's back.
Hi. I'm sorry. I don't know what happened. I apologize.
It's all
no worries.
So we wanted you to answer the question, but you left us on a cliffhanger once again.
I think you like Netflix. I think that's what it is. You like Netflix?
Maybe my phone. I don't know what's going on today.
No, it's cool, man.
So,
but yeah, for you, it was that question. Like, how can you now have this conversation with some of these adults, more adult years?
Old people.
I've had it. I've had this conversation with my parents, and you know what? My parents were in retail clothing their whole life, 40, 50 years, and they're just not landlords. They're just not there. You know what I mean? You have to have that mindset of dealing with other people, especially in New York, where it's not the most landlord friendly state. But I agree with you, Ed, 1,000%. That is the way to, generational financial wealth, and freedom for our kids and, future generations and stuff like that. And it's a tough conversation no matter what. Yeah. But like Gigi said, once you show, what it's capable of doing, and it really doesn't end. It only gets better. And it only grows. And of course, like I had that conversation with that real estate mogul, it does. It takes time, but once you get there, it's sort of on autopilot. Right. And it takes time, so they don't see that right away. But the truth of the matter is, another thing that I wanted to, to your point, is that all of that income that you're taking in is tax-free. That is another beautiful point of real estate. Yeah. For the first, 10 years, it's almost completely tax-free. All of that income you could write off. And it's not only that you're writing it off, you're writing off a loss. So it's taking, not only do you not owe on it, but you'll get something back. And
you can leverage that at first. Yeah, definitely.
Once they see that, to me, it becomes a no-brainer. And it could even be something small, $2,000 a month. And, if your expenses are, whatever, $1,500 a month. So you're talking about really you're netting 500, so it's $6,000 a year. $6,000 a year tax-free is great. You know what I mean? It's extra money that will grow. What's rent going to be the next year when you renew? It's not going down. Right. So, to me, that's the way I would approach it. Exactly really what Gigi said.
But there is answer a lot of the questions. Sit down, pen and paper, and just go at it and you would want to do that for yourself, so you have a greater picture of what you can explain and see your possibilities and just share them. Yeah. Anyway, I think we're out of time. My God, time flew by.
Justin,
so many nuggets.
Before we go and before we get to the MVP, Justin, let us know how anyone else can reach out to you, where they can reach out to you, where can they find you. Just let us all know all that great stuff.
Can you put it in the comment box, or should we?
Sure. Sure. I could definitely. I would say the best way is call myself. I try to make myself always available. My cell phone, you can text me, call me. I always try to pick up. If I don't pick up, I'll call you right back. So that's always the best way.
We put it in the comments.
What's the best number to reach you?
Yeah, I'm gonna put that in right now.
There you go. So in the meantime, Ed, drum roll. Let's get who's the MVP this week?
Damn, yo, it was a tight race. I'll tell you that right now.
It was.
Can we have two? You know what, Gigi? We can have two.
We can have two.
Good. So we just lost Justin while he was trying.
I know. We put him back, and we can get
guy,
no problem. I know.
This guy's too many cliffhangers over here.
I'm saying he loves Netflix. Has to love Netflix. Yeah. So who's the tie? Who's the tie?
So we do have a tie, and we're gonna give a huge shout out to Elsie and Rosa for our MVP, most valuable.
You guys are the
host.
contributors.
Fantastic.
This is the first ever tie that we experience right now. So congratulations.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's awesome.
Unwrapped, this is our first tie. So thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And before we let everybody go, we always got to put the grown folks music back on. Come on. You got to set the mood.
You guys soon.
I hope you guys enjoyed our show. This was wealth of knowledge right here.
Yeah.
A lot of gems.
Yeah.
I love
a lot of gems.
So I will put Justin's information in the comments, and we hope to see you. I'll do a live from Puerto Rico, from Rincon next week.
Rincon, Puerto Rico.
Why not?
Let's go.
Why not?
All right, guys. All right.
Do it.
Enjoy your weekend. Get to those open houses. Come on.
Yeah,
I hope it's gonna be a nice weather. Yeah,
it is gonna be. It's supposed to be 50 degrees on Sunday.
All right. Okay.
So you know what that means? People are coming out to look at some homes. So make sure you set yourself up with these open houses. And if you don't have a property to showcase, touch base with some of your associates. I'm sure they'll want to share them with you.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right.
Because we can't be at every single listing in one day. So we all need some help. So folks,
as many of us try.
All right. Have a great weekend, guys.
Enjoy.
See you soon.
Love you guys.
Adios. Peace.